This fall, I visited a national park I've never been to before, Shenandoah National Park. When most people think of Shenandoah, they think of Skyline Drive, the main road that runs throughout the park along a ridgeline, which provides plenty of scenic overlooks. And while the overlooks are quite, well, scenic, I was here to hike. I camped at Big Meadows Campground, which gave me a nice central location for some fun rock scrambles, waterfall hikes, and wildlife viewing. I was surprised by the amount of deer here and how close they came to humans. Even though the weather didn't cooperate towards the end of this trip, I had a great time camping here and I definitely plan to be back. I have some unfinished business, as you'll see later in this video. But, as usual, my least favorite part of any solo camping trip is the drive. So I broke this drive up with a short paddleboarding session on Claytor Lake, which was along the way.
And Virginia state parks have this cool thing. It's called Paddle Quest. And basically, I believe it's for every 5 state parks that you paddle at, you'll get some little incentive. Like I think 5 parks is a sticker, 10 parks is a patch. And it keeps going till you paddle at all the state parks in Virginia.
My very first hike in Shenandoah National Park was Bearfence Rock Scramble, which I absolutely loved and definitely plan on doing it again next time I'm in the park. It's a relatively short hike with some fun scrambling sections. I'm not a fan of heights, but I do have a bit of scrambling experience, mainly around Grandfather Mountain in North Carolina. There were some others, though, on the trail who did not seem to be having a good time. So if you're comfortable with scrambling or even more technical trails, then I think this is a great trail to check out. If that doesn't sound like something you'd enjoy, or you don't have any technical trail experience, then I'd say Hawksbill Mountain would be a good alternative. It still has some great views, but it's a more typical hiking trail.
Do we have another view deck?
There is birthdays.
I chose to head back to the trailhead along the Appalachian Trail instead of doing the scramble in reverse for 2 reasons. While I did love the scramble, I typically do loop routes instead of out and backs if given the opportunity, so I have a chance to see more. But in this case, it also felt safer than trying to go backwards on the same scramble route someone is trying to go forwards on. And while there's no official direction to this trail, it seems most people were doing it the same way. Starting at the trailhead, going out along the scramble, and then coming back along the Appalachian Trail.
Alright, so I have camp set up now. I'll give you a tour in a minute. I did stop and do a short hike on my way in. I did Bearfence Mountain, and I did the scramble route up, and then I took the Appalachian Trail down. So that was a good little taste of scrambling. Not tomorrow, but the next day I'm going to do Old Rag. So I'll have lots of scrambling to do that day. I hope I got good footage of Bearfence Mountain. Like I said, part of it was a scramble, and I wanted to really capture it, but I had to use my both hands at some point. So I don't know how much the camera actually picked up and how much was just like rock. And I forgot every mount at home. All my mounts are together, like in a dry bag that I just left sitting on one of my gear totes. Luckily I remembered both cameras. I have my Insta360 and then I have a GoPro with me. So yeah, luckily I just threw them in my backpack instead of with that bag. But yeah, all my mounts are currently still at home. Hopefully I'll still be able to capture everything cool this week.
I think Bearfence Rock Scramble may be my favorite hike from this weekend. If you've ever been to Shenandoah, let me know down in the comments what your favorite trail was. And if you've never been, what trail would you want to hike most? So dinner tonight is veggie dogs, watermelon, and chips. Alright, so first, longish hike of the trip, I think it's 8 miles or so. It's Cedar Run and Whiteoak Falls. Got a bumblebee, moving a little slow this morning. It's still a little chilly out. I'm guessing he too is a little chilly. Haven't really had any sunshine today. Rocks are a little cold. I did do a whole video on the Cedar Run and Whiteoak circuit, so if you'd like to see more from this trail, that video will be linked below. So that was Cedar Run and Whiteoak Falls, and then I just went right across the road, and now I'm going to the summit of Hawksbill. It's only a mile and a half round trip, but I think it is relatively steep, so not entirely looking forward to that after the rocks uphill on the last trail.
Alright, so I'm back at camp now. I'm gonna have a snack, charge my phone, because that died way quicker than normal. And there's still like 20% left, but I don't know what's up with it today. Yeah, so I have a burrito, but it's a banana and then maple walnut butter. It's so good. And then I have some scratch because I sweat a lot today. I think I'm still gonna do one more hike, a short hike later today. But yeah, I'm gonna rest a bit, eat, drink, and then charge things. So I'm staying at site B109, and it's not very big. There's fire pit, picnic table, and there's no tent pad. There's just like a little grassy area back here. I have a 2-person backpacking tent. A bigger tent would fit here, but as you can kind of see, it's sloped, so anything much bigger, you're not going to have a flat surface to camp on. Even this, I can tell, this is like the flattest spot I can find. There's still a slight angle to it. Not the best site, but it's alright. There are definitely better ones in this loop that are bigger or have more trees. Like, this is my only tree really, so I can't set up my hammock or my slack line, which is mildly disappointing. Alright, so I'm doing one more shortish trail tonight. Should be about 4 miles straight from the campground, which I love. Oh, there's a deer. I've seen a ton of deer here, really up close. But I should be seeing Lewis Blackrock overlook and Lewis Spring Falls. So I haven't actually seen this at all since moving to the south, but I found milkweed. I ran across the gift shop and got distracted. Alright, hopped onto the Appalachian Trail for about half mile or so, then I'll take a little side trail down to the waterfall. More of a service road than a trail now, but this should take me down to Lewis Spring Falls. Oh, it looks like it might turn into a trail down here. What is that? That's interesting. Like I said, lots of deer here. I wish it was more specific. I'd like to know what it's contaminated with. I'm not going to drink it, but I'm still curious. Someone on Instagram had replied that they had been told that there were pipes that had been made with lead, and that was contaminating the water. that seems kind of anticlimactic. I mean, yeah, I'm at the waterfall, but pretty sure the good view's down there. I don't believe there's a trail down there to get to it. I mean, there are some little falls up here, but I'm still pretty sure the good one is down there. Alright, exploring a little further to see if there's any sort of view over on the side of it. Alright, I complained too soon. I mean, there's still not a great view. There's definitely more going on down here, but there's somewhat of a view of the waterfall, and you can't go any further this way. Look how big this guy is. He was about as long as my finger, and then I startled him when I moved, and he kind of shrunk up a bit. He's huge though. Here's another one. Alright, someone help me out. Is this like a baby monarch? It's on milkweed, so I'm kind of thinking it is. But I've never seen one so small. It's like the width of a fingernail, maybe.
So that was actually an aphid eater larva. I did not put together at the time that those little orange things were aphids, as I've only seen the green ones in person before. Those specifically were oleander aphids.
So dinner tonight is sweet and sour chicken and rice. I have the minute rice. I'm trying for the first time this Nomad Nutrition chicken, mainly pea protein and rice protein. I'm trying this out, and then I'll have the like sweet and sour packets from restaurants, and I'll add that in. So the original plan for today was to hike the most famous trail in the park, Old Rag. Unfortunately, the weather's not quite cooperating. There's a 20 to 40% chance of rain. It started at 1 a.m. and it goes to like 3 p.m. And I don't know how much more difficult the scramble becomes if the rocks are wet. I did try to look it up a bit online. It seemed to be split kind of 50-50. About half the people said it's still okay, you just have to be extra cautious. About half the people said it's not worth it to hike when it's wet, it's too dangerous. My favorite was one person on Reddit who said, oh yeah, as long as it's not icy, it's totally fine. And then in another reply said they've never actually hiked Old Rag. So I feel like I don't have enough information to say that yes, it'd be totally fine to hike in the rain. Mainly just concerned about the scramble, not concerned about actually hiking in rain. I'm concerned about how the rock scramble gets when wet. Yeah, I just don't have enough information to be like, yes, this is definitely going to be okay. So it sucks, kind of what I was looking forward to most. But I feel like I'm making the smart decision, especially considering I'm by myself. I was okay with doing the scramble by myself. And if I had another person with me, I might be okay with trying it wet. But doing it solo with wet rocks, I'm not certain that'd be the best decision. So I guess I'll have to come back at some point to do that. That being said, I guess plan B for today is there's two relatively short waterfall trails. There's Rose River Falls and Dark Hollow Falls. I haven't done those yet. I want to do both of those. And then I think I'm going to head home for the weekend. I was going to do Old Rag today and then head home first thing tomorrow. But since I have just these two short waterfalls instead, I'll probably just head home tonight. The weather at my house is much better than it is here, so I can probably do something fun closer to home tomorrow. Camera's not doing too good in the low light. I've seen so many deer up close here. I found a little baby ringneck snake. I don't think I've ever seen one of these in the wild before.
I got so excited to see a snake I've never seen in the wild before that I did not realize at first that the poor thing wasn't actually alive anymore. Also, I called it a baby just because it was small. This is just a small species.
I can hear the falls. And we're gonna come up like by the top. So hopefully there's a way down to the bottom. It's a pretty deep pool over here. Either that's low flow or there's another falls coming up after it.
Based on the pictures I saw online, this is a relatively low flow. I saw some pictures that were similar to what I saw, but many had a lot more water. There's so many types of life growing on this one dead stump.
Alright, so that was Rose River Falls. Now I'm at the trailhead for Dark Hollow Falls, and this one's much more popular. Obviously a waterfall, and it's like less than 2 miles round trip, and it's right by the Big Meadows Campground, so I'm guessing all those factors contribute to it being a rather popular trail, even in the rain.
These little guys have been the hardest to get footage of. They scurry away so fast. Luckily, this one's distracted by food. So, after hiking on the wet rocks today, I feel I made the smart but unfortunate call to save Old Rag for another time. The rocks on the trails were in fact slick, and without knowing the Old Rag Scramble firsthand, I still don't know how difficult it would be with slick rocks. I did end up leaving the park right around the same time I estimated I'd be around the summit of Old Rag, and it was so incredibly foggy. It was difficult to see the taillights in front of me, so I most likely would not have had any kind of view anyway, but now I have a good reason to come back. Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like to support the channel further, you can check out my merch and membership options on Fourth Wall, and don't forget to be always adventuring. Ugh.